Hello, my name is Nicolas Gonzalez, and I would like to speak to you today about the great adventurer James Cook. James Cook was born in October 27, 1728, in Marton in Cleveland, Yorkshire, England. He passed away in February 14 in 1779 in Kealakeluka Bay, Hawaii. Very hard word to pronounce. He was the son of James Wade Cook and Grace Pace. James Wade Cook was his father. Then he was a farmer and immigrated from Scotland, and Grace Pace was a local girl. And in that time, they hadn't got any public schooling, so if you wanted to go to school, you had to pay for it. And James' father had no money, but his employee took an interest in James Cook, and he saw that he was a very bright young man, so he decided to pay for James' schooling. And after school, he was his first job was a brief apprenticeship at the general store in Whitby. And that general store in Whitby also got him in contact with the sea and the ships and all that. That started him to believe that he wanted to go out on the sea. So in 1746, 18 years old, he took employee on a coal transport ship that went out in the North Sea to transport coal. Yeah. So after about 10 years on that ship, in 1755, he joined the Royal Navy in search of the big and great adventures. And after only a month, he was promoted to master's mate. And 4 years later, he was promoted to master. I'm trying to find my keywords here. Yeah. So he was also a part of the 7-Year War between Great Britain and France. And he made some real difference in that war. Let's leave it at that. In 1768 to 1771, he got his first real voyage with his own ship to command. That they set out to observe the Venus passage. A fun fact about that trip is that Daniel Solander, an apprentice of Carl von Linné, was on that ship with him. He was part of the science group of that voyage. And they took the voyage crossed Cape Horn and Tahiti, and when they hit New Zealand, they spent 6 months there, just sailing around and mapping out all of the islands. And a thing that also bothered James Cook a lot was that 30 seamen died during this trip, and James Cook wanted to try and understand why this also happened all the time and change that. So on his second voyage from 1772 to 1775, he was set out to explore the coast of Antarctica, and in that run he discovered the islands Tonga and Easter Island. And he was also the first person to sail around the world from east to west. Brought on a lot of and this time he brought on a lot of fruits and vegetables on the ship, and only one of 118 seamen died. And so that was a great accomplishment from him to find a way to be long time out at sea and still stay healthy. For that he was rewarded the Royal Society's Copley Medal, a very high value medal for his researches on the world sea. His third voyage from 1776 to 1779 was on the ship Resolution. This is the second time he was on this ship Resolution. And this time they was trying to find a way between Atlantic and the Pacific North of America. He passed Australia and New Zealand and America. He passed, he had to stay one winter at the Sandwich Island, that's Hawaii. And when they arrived there, the people loved him and his ships and everything. And he stayed there for 6 months. Uh, then they were gonna leave the islands. They set out. After 4 days, a big something broke on the ship, so they had to return to the islands, Polynesian island of Hawaii. And when they returned, all the people kind of hated him, so that wasn't good at all. And after a couple of fights, he got in a big quarrel with the Polynesians, and he got himself killed, sadly enough. So that's where his life ended, at a beach at Kealakekua. Yeah, I think I got it right. So this was a man that changed the map of the world more than any single man in history. I hope you enjoyed this brief conclusion and history lesson about the great adventurer James Cook.